What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here in this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. All right, guys, got my 5 biggest takeaways from the most recent Town Hall. This is a little bit low-key. I mean, we had a big week last week with the launch of Rebellion, but obviously, you know, there's still a lot going on. We're still waiting on land and a bunch of different things. Now, for those who might be new to the channel, new to this series, every week or whenever there's a Town Hall or Town Square, I just go ahead and give my 5 things or 5 takeaways that stuck out to me and I thought were worth sharing. But there's, you know, the official written summary by the team that's usually put out, as well as other video content creators that do full summaries of the Town Hall. So I highly recommend you go out and show them some support and check those out. But we can go ahead and dive into the 5 things that I thought were worth sharing. So first and foremost, Matt supports the 2 proposals that are currently out there in the pre-proposal stage right now. The one to hire Claiborne as a DAO project manager, and then Splinter Royale, which is currently a game in alpha, looking for funding to help with the development of beta. Now, here's the thing. I've done videos covering both of these. I even had Claiborne on the channel a couple of days ago to talk through where these are at. What I want to share with you guys is that Matt took the time to really really give a reason and show why he is supporting both of these proposals. And I don't want to get into it too much just because, like I said, I've talked about it in separate videos, but he went into it, and I thought that it was worthwhile for people to listen to. In case you've missed those videos, in case you haven't been following the drama that's been on Discord and Map Chat regarding all these things, just to break it down very quickly, because I'm not trying to send people to other videos, but to break it down very quickly, with Claiborne, Matt has worked with Claiborne for a while. I don't see this as something where, you know, Matt's just looking out for a friend here. They seem to have a working professional relationship from my understanding, and this is something that Matt believes is a good position for the DAO to have. Now, he believes that Claiborne is a good fit for it, and Claiborne, I think, has shown that he is an integral part of the community here, but Matt said that it's open to anybody. If anybody wants to come in, he even mentioned Weirdbeard, if anybody wants to come in and actually be a part of this or try to go for that position, they can, but nobody else is really doing that right now. Claiborne was the one who approached him, so that's where we're at. If people don't like it, then that's whatever the case is. If you don't trust Claiborne, then part of me, again, it's fine if you don't trust Claiborne, but here's the thing. If Matt is backing him and they do have that professional relationship at that level where, you know, obviously Claiborne is vetted and doxed to the team from when working with the team, then, you know, again, if you're still uncomfortable with that, that's fine. But I look at this and say, well, Matt is, you know, he's essentially backing Claiborne on this. He thinks that Claiborne is a good fit for the role. He thinks that the role should be filled right now. So for those people out there, you know, and I've been somewhat critical of this, for those people out there that are just blindly following Matt and saying like, oh yeah, you know, we believe in Matt, what he's trying to do. Well, here's something that he's trying to help push the game forward and the DAO forward in a way. And it's weird to me to see the same people say, you know what? I'm not going to go for it. Right. Even though Matt is the one who literally but posted the proposal and has now come out on several occasions saying that, you know, he supports Claiborne in this role. Again, if you don't like it, if you don't like the terms, that's fine. I'm not going to say that you should vote against it, vote for or against it. But my point is that Matt is in support of this. And so therefore, I'm just saying my experience, I am very much in favor of it too, because I think it can add a lot of value, both for the Claiborne as well as Splinter Royale. Now, when it comes down to the details, again, maybe you're a little bit dicey on that. If we move over to the Splinter Royale side, there's only a 15% revenue split. I believe that they're going to try and readdress that. So if there is an update to the proposal, I will see if I can do a video if it's something significant. But at the end of the day, with the Splinter Royale side, I think it's fantastic that we see this kind of energy coming in, this kind of innovative, or kind of, yeah, just kind of entrepreneurial, innovative spirit to come in and add value to the ecosystem using the same tokens, the same assets. This is exactly what we want to see. And part of what I said in the video kind of covering this is when the layoffs happened, I was a little disappointed because I felt like the scope of what this ecosystem could be was you know, dramatically brought down to just focus on the core game. But essentially what Matt had said in the Town Hall was the DAO can fund these things, right? So if it's not the team, it can be the DAO funding these things. And they're asking for $50,000. And we just received from the Rebellion sale, right? We got our $250,000 back, and then we got another like $200,000 on top of that. I think we're sitting at like between $450,000 to $500,000. Now, I'm not saying we go spend that money willy-nilly, but I would love to see more games added to the ecosystem that can add value. Maybe Splinter Royale isn't it, but what my biggest thing with is with Splinter Royale is this: I don't want to kill the motivation. I don't want to kill the inspiration. I think if you have an issue with this, then my ask is that what can be done? How can the proposal be adjusted so that you do become in favor of it? Because what I don't want to do is discourage anybody else from trying to participate, because there might be some fantastic developers out there who have great ideas and can add a lot of value. And if they see that there's just such a negative experience because people say, nah, I don't care, whatever, blah, 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 then I don't want them to go and put their talents elsewhere. I really want to keep as much talent in the Splinterlands ecosystem as possible because there's so much potential here. So that's all I'm going to say on that. Matt supports them. So not that I'm trying to blindly follow Matt. You guys know that I don't do that. I have a lot of respect for Matt. Don't get me wrong, right? But with this, I'm actually trusting Matt's judgment on both of these, and I want to go forward because I do think that in the long run they can add a lot of value. And if they don't work out, yes, I know it's not an insignificant amount of money, but the DAO still has other revenue, and we can find ways to have value with that. So that's all I'm going to say there. Let's move on to number 2. Here was an interesting revelation from Matt, and I guess this must have been during the last bull run, but Splinterlands had actually received offers from the DAOs of other chains. Now, he didn't name drop any specific chains for this point, but he did talk about like Avalanche, and somebody had asked a question about Solana. I know there's been talk about Polygon in the past as well. Excuse me. So it's actually interesting to hear that there were offers from the DAOs of these other chains to move the game over, which he said Splinterlands politely refused. So again, I'm not saying that that's the wrong move. Obviously, Hive has been very good for Splinterlands, and Hive is very good for the amount of transactions that happen. But it is just interesting to note, well, maybe if we're not getting the coverage now, it's because, well, I don't know if a lot of these other DAOs or these other chains are feeling a little burned because they were turned down. But at the end of the day, I think that Splinterlands obviously made the right decision. I would still like to see, and Matt did express this, I would still like to see some cross functionality, whether it's moving the tokens or bridging the tokens over, having the NFTs available to be bridged between. So, and this is something that I think, the team obviously isn't focused on right now, but in the long term, especially if we are around the corner from a bull run in 2024, 2025, I think it would be valuable. There was a lot of gaming stuff that was happening on Solana in the last bull run. There's a lot of gaming stuff that's happening on Polygon in this in the bear market previously, right? So bridging out to these chains and having easy access for people to come into the game from Polygon, from Solana, from Avalanche is really important because there's a lot of awesome stuff happening on those chains and not just the big chains like Ethereum and BSC or BNB. But that's all we got for that. I thought it was an interesting note. Wanted to share it here. Number 3. Here's a sore topic for me. I've been waiting for guild alliances and guild upgrades for like a year now. And it sounds like these are still planned, so that is actually a good thing. But I think the more interesting topic was the fact that Matt said he wants to integrate everything, right? So he wants guilds and land and all this stuff to be interconnected, being able to use guild points on land in some way, shape, or form and have it make sense. And so this whole topic was brought up because somebody asked about pack staking. And we knew that pack staking was something that was planned for the guild building upgrades. And, obviously that never actually panned out. And there's a glut of extra packs right now with Chaos Legion, which is why I think, that spurred essentially the question. But it's cool to hear that there is a broader plan to really tie everything together. Now, the problem with something like that, and I'm just being honest with you guys, is that when you're designing something that is so extravagant, so complex, it's going to take time. And I really just wanted to have more syncs for the game, for the assets in the game, whether it was DEC syncs to upgrade new buildings or pack staking or voucher burning, all this stuff. And it sounds like, yes, this stuff is still planned, but now we need to think about it in a whole new way. And that's going to be like later sometime next year. So basically what I'm trying to say is I'm disappointed because we were told about guild alliances a year ago. And granted, I know the team's gone through a bunch, so I'm not trying to throw too much shade here. I'm just saying that it's disappointing to me that we're still in planning and design phase rather than, okay, this is a cool idea that got backlogged because of land, because of rebellion, all this stuff, and we're going to get to it as soon as we can. It's, hey, yeah, we want to get to it, but there's also a lot of redesign that we need to think about, and that's going to take time. And then we need to actually spec out how we're gonna actually develop it and all that. So when I think about this, I'm just like, I hope it comes in the first half of next year. But at this point, I don't know, right? Like, I mean, land's going to take a lot. Soulkeep is going to take a lot. And I just don't know where this falls on the priority list, but I'll tell you, I'm not confident that it's relatively high. And it's something that I was really looking forward to. So that's kind of where things are at in terms of the guild building, or I should say guild upgrades. Although it is exciting, I guess, for the broader vision, it's just going to take a little bit more patience, which, I don't have much of anymore. Just being honest, right? So I want stuff now. I want stuff now. Just being honest. Okay, number 4, land will be the next SPS airdrop. So this was a fantastic question that was asked to Matt around the last bull run. Splinterlands really took off because of the SPS airdrop. The mechanics there allowed for people to discover the game simply because the returns were stupidly high, right? For holding DEC, you were getting a ton of SPS. For staking SPS, you were getting a ton of SPS, and SPS was valued at, $1 at some point, right? And above 50 cents for for a couple of months there. So the question was, with the bull run around the corner, what's going to be the next SPS airdrop, right? What's going to be the next thing that helps to bring people into the game? Now, I'll be honest, before we even get into Matt's response here, my thought, just being very blunt with you guys, is that nothing is going to do what the SPS airdrop did. We were literally printing money out of thin air with an airdrop and giving value to all the assets, which at that time were incredibly scarce. We're not going to be able to do that again unless the team decides that they want to launch another token, which again, Matt said that they're not going to launch another governance token, right? But if they launch another thing and print, value out of thin air, that's really the only way. And you know me, the Bitcoin maxi, I don't really like that approach. Now, so that's kind of like the cynical side of what I think of this. I don't think that Splinterlands is going to have this massive, like, a bunch of people coming in because we're just printing money left and right. What I think could happen, and what I'm obviously hopeful that will happen, is that value starts to accrue over time. Now, maybe that value accrual can happen quickly because there is value being added in the underlying assets, not because we're printing something, but because the game is just actually that fun, and they're adding new features to the game. They're adding new game modes. They're adding land, right? Features and updates to land, that we start to accrue that, and then we kind of take off in the bull run. But there won't be like an SPS airdrop. Now, let's take this back to what Matt is talking about in terms of land. What could be exciting with land is that it's this big unknown, right? And research is potentially a big part of that. And I'm actually going to jump to number 5 real quick. One of the things that Matt said was that research is going to be harder to get into in 2.0, and research is going to be like this kind of I don't want to say access token because he hasn't used that language, but it's going to allow you to do certain things with land. And as Aggie had said, it's maybe it's upgrading buildings or whatever the case is. You're going to need research, and so part of the alpha that was given is that research is actually going to be much more difficult to get into in 2.0. So that's kind of the incentive to get in at 1.5. But there's no other information, and Matt actually confirmed that there's no other information about what research will get you until we get to 2.0. So you're going to have to go on faith. And, there's a lot of people in this community that do go on faith, but there's a lot of people that want a return on investment. And I don't think that there's a wrong way to approach it. I think you can interact with the game however you want, but the ROI group is the one that tends to bring way more value into the game. Let's just be honest about that, right? So going back to number 4, land being the next SPS airdrop in Matt's mind is actually a fascinating look at it, right? Because what if there are some really cool opportunities with land? And one of the things that I've talked about is the LPs, right? If the LPs end up being insanely high ROI, what could end up happening, and this is not just like the stable coins, I'm talking about the LPs that are going to be needed for all of the 50 resources with DEC. If we start printing massive amounts of DEC by burning SPS because these returns are so high, people just need to have DEC, well then yeah, we could get into an interesting kind of FOMO hype cycle where people start to chase that ROI. But again, that is not... Maybe it is the same thing. Maybe we are printing value out of thin air because all of these new tokens, all these new, resources would essentially be tokens. But I would make the argument that these resources that we're printing actually have a value. Maybe that value is not coming immediately, and then you can parallel that to the SPS token. But either way, maybe that value is not coming immediately because we're not able to mint items and spells right away. But if people are, trying to get these very scarce resources, knowing that items and spells and crafting and using them in game is all coming around the corner, we could be chasing, there could be a lot of people chasing that. And then you get a lot of the speculators, a lot of the investors coming in, knowing that they can burn SPS for DEC, get into these massive pools, and all of a sudden we're off to the races. So do I actually see that happening in the same way that the SPS airdrop was? I'm going to be Papa Bear and say no, right? I'll have to see it to believe it. But I do like the concept of it. And ultimately, we don't need it to take off to the moon overnight. This is what I talk about in terms of having an accruing value to the ecosystem over time through actual feature development, through game development. With all these things coming down the line with, resources and items and spells and new game modes and maybe some other utility for these resources before items and spells come into the mix, we can actually have stuff in this game that people just come and they're like, I just want to play. I just want to participate, right? I want to get this title, or I want to get this thing, or I want to get this skin, whatever it is that these resources can end up doing before items and spells. And maybe we get items and spells sooner, right? Maybe the Splinterlands, the Rebellion Summoner tactics end up being super successful, and the team just doubles down and tries to get that out, right? The items and spells portion out quicker. That could be something too. And keep in mind, we're talking on a little bit of like a crunched time frame here. So I'm looking between now and we'll just say like the next 18 months. So like the first half of 2025. And in that time frame, right, the team had planned to try to get a working version of items and spells playable in game. Now, obviously Land is running so far behind at this point. I don't know if they're ever going to be able to catch up and actually still hit that. But over that time period, what I'm hopeful for is that Matt's going to find a way to be able to give value in the interim, right? So there's going to be interval style development where as soon as something is ready, they just get it out. And instead of like 1.5, like in the same way that 1.5 was created to be like this half step to give value to assets while 2.0 was still coming out. Obviously 1.5 is taken forever, but hopefully the 0.5 versions that they have in the future. And what I mean by that is like, all right, and I know numbers are going to be somewhat arbitrary here, but like, let's say they get resources done, right? So as soon as 2.0 comes out, there's resources available. Well, I wonder if the team would be able to quickly pivot to doing something like, well, there's now a resources 0.5 where, yes, items and spells, they're still being in the design phase, but you can start to use resources for these different things in game, and they can get you some benefits maybe in the game, or maybe they can buy you certain things, or there's the voucher shop, right? Who knows? Or like a resource shop, something like that pops up. But my whole point is that they'll be able to pivot and hopefully do some really cool things in the interim versus having to wait as long as they did for 1.5. But I'm like digressing here and getting way too deep into the weeds when it comes to Land. We still need 1.5, and I'll end the video here. The team is trying to get that out in November before Thanksgiving. It may or may not happen. Matt is not rushing the team, rushing Far Petrod. He wants it to come out when it's ready. That is the time frame they're shooting for. We are now nearing the end of October, so that could be a couple of weeks away. But the truth is, I don't know. And I don't want to make any claims here. I mean, yeah, we can go off that assumption, but we've been going off that assumption since May, and we've just constantly gotten burned. So I don't mean to end this on a negative note. I'm just saying, like, that's where the update is. And I am excited for Land, but I can't really like get super excited until it's here and we see that it's ready to go and the impact that it's having on the economy. So overall, decent town hall. Matt is happy with the progression of the sale so far, the Rebellion pre-sale. But we're heading into exciting times, I would say, overall for the game, in terms of the Rebellion set actually coming out, with Land hopefully around the corner. Soulkeep is something that was mentioned. It doesn't sound like there's a plan for Soulkeep because Matt said they need to come up with a plan. So for anybody waiting on Soulkeep, bad news there. But otherwise, I'm still excited for what's happening here from a game perspective. But that is all I have for you guys in this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I will catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.